So if you're a developer, you know the deal. You've built something awesome on your machine, it's running perfectly, but how do you actually show it to anyone? How do you get it in front of a client or test a webhook from some external service? Well, today we're diving right into that fight, the battle for your local host. I mean, it's a classic moment of frustration, isn't it? You've just nailed a new feature, you're excited, but it's completely stuck on your computer, totally cut off from the rest of the world. You need that feedback. You need to test a live API, but you can't. You're isolated. It's a universal headache for pretty much every developer out there. You gotta think of your computer like a private island. Your app is running happily on localhost, but to the public internet, it might as well not exist. Services like Stripe, GitHub, or even your client just trying to view your work, they can't see it. And look, this is great for security most of the time, but it becomes a massive roadblock when you need to test a real-world webhook or demo a feature. So how do we build a bridge to this island? Right? We build that bridge, and we do it with this really clever technique called tunneling. It's basically the magic that connects your private island to the mainland of the internet, making your local work accessible to the outside world, but in a way that's secure and temporary. The tech behind this is called reverse proxy tunneling. Now, the real magic here is that instead of the outside world trying to punch a hole into your network, a little app on your computer makes a connection out to a public server. And since most firewalls trust traffic that's going out, it just works. No complicated setup. This creates a secure tunnel, like a private highway for data to travel directly from the internet to your app. Okay, so let's break that down real quick. First, that little agent on your machine calls out to a cloud server. That's what establishes the secure tunnel we just talked about. Then the server gives you a unique public web address, a URL you can actually share. And when someone or some service visits that URL, the server just grabs that request and sends it right down the tunnel, straight to your local application. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's incredibly powerful. For a long, long time, if you needed to do this, one name just dominated the entire conversation: ngrok. It became the default tool. People even started using it as a verb. Just ngrok it. And it's a solid tool. It's served the developer community really well for years. But as our workflows got more complex, some friction points start to pop up. And this quote, which you can find all over developer forums, it just perfectly captures one of the biggest frustrations. You're right in the zone, you're deep into debugging something tricky, and poof, your connection just dies. That dreaded 2-hour timeout on the free plan has interrupted countless developers right when they needed it most. And the frustrations, well, they didn't stop there. Being limited to just a single tunnel at a time, that's tough when you're working on modern apps with multiple microservices. The random, ugly URLs aren't exactly professional for client demos. And the cost to get past all these limits, it can add up fast. It was these exact pain points that created a massive opportunity for something new. And, of course, a challenger did appear. So let's talk about InstaTunnel, a tool that was built from the ground up to address these specific developer frustrations head-on. Its whole philosophy is just simplicity. It's this promise of zero configuration. You open your terminal, you type one command, and bam, you're live. It automatically finds your running app, creates the tunnel, and even copies the public URL right to your clipboard. No sign up, no config files, just instant access. And this is where the difference becomes crystal clear. You just have to look at the free tiers side by side. InstaTunnel gives you a 24-hour session. That's a full workday and then some. You get 3 simultaneous tunnels, which is perfect for a modern app stack. And it even includes custom subdomains and password protection, features that are usually locked away behind a paywall. And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? When you do need to upgrade, for professional features, InstaTunnel is literally half the price of ngrok's Pro plan. This kind of pressure on pricing is a direct result of having healthy competition in the market. So what does all this really mean for us as developers? Well, this whole battle isn't just about one tool versus another. It's about how competition forces everyone to get better, to innovate, and to offer more powerful features at better prices. This is what gives us the developer's edge. Take a feature like Request Replay, which you'll find in ngrok. This is an absolute game changer for anyone working with webhooks. Instead of having to say trigger a payment and Stripe over and over again to test your code, you just capture the request once. Then you can just hit a replay button to send that exact same data to your server again and again. It speeds up your debugging cycle like you wouldn't believe. This is the kind of innovation that competition creates.
And the innovation goes way beyond just web traffic. Modern tools offer things like TCP tunneling, which lets you securely access a database or even SSH into a machine that's behind a firewall. They include really robust security features like built-in password protection, IP whitelisting, and even single sign-on for enterprise teams. These aren't just simple tunnels anymore. They're becoming complete development platforms.
Let's zoom in on a really crucial security feature, IP whitelisting. The best way to think about it is as a digital guest list for your tunnel. You can configure it to only allow requests from specific IP addresses, like your client's office or your company's VPN. Anyone else trying to access it gets denied. It's a really powerful layer of security. But to use it right, you can't just set it and forget it. You've got to keep that list of approved IPs up to date. You want to use clean, static IPs, not dynamic ones that can change on you. And you should always layer it with other security, like two-factor authentication. And finally, keep an eye on your access logs for anything that looks suspicious. Of course, at the end of the day, we're dealing with networking, and things can and will go wrong. Even with these super simple tools, you might hit a snag. So let's just quickly cover a few basic troubleshooting steps you can take. Okay, before you dive deep and start pulling your hair out, just check the basics. Start with a simple ping command to see if your computer can even reach the tunneling service's website. Check if a corporate firewall is maybe blocking that outbound connection. And a surprisingly common one, make sure your device's security certificates are valid and not expired. These simple checks can solve the problem in seconds, way more often you think. So, what's the big takeaway here? This story isn't really just about two tunneling tools. It's a perfect example of a much larger trend that fierce competition in the developer tool space directly benefits us. It drives better features, more generous free tiers, and lower prices. It creates more powerful and efficient workflows for every single one of us. And that leaves me with one last question for you to think about. What's the single biggest bottleneck in your daily development workflow right now? And is there a tool out there, maybe a challenger you haven't even heard of yet, that was built specifically to solve that exact problem? Thanks for tuning in.